Good morning students, welcome to Swayam Learning Point. So today we're starting with the first chapter of history, that is historiography, development in the West. Now what is the concept called as historiography? Completely a new concept. His story in a graphical style. So historiography, you can break it into three parts. His story in a graphical style is termed as historiography. So nothing very difficult concept, quite easy. It's a quite easy concept to grasp. Okay, now what is the objective of historical research? Now every research has a object. Okay, object. Every research, whether it's a historical research, whether it is a research in the field of science, any vice versa, everywhere you have an objective. Without objective, a research cannot take place. So what is the objective of historical research here? First is basically you need to understand the chronology. Chronology means the events, the happening of the events. When did the event take place? When, what, all these events. But just take a look at the screen. It's past events. We're talking about the past. I'm not talking about the present. Second is interconnections. Okay, every event is interconnected. Okay, if a particular incident has taken place in the past, there is a reason कि भैया वो incident क्यों हुआ है. So it is interconnected. And how is the process of research? It's a continuous process. So any type of research, whether it's a historical research or whether it's a research in the field of science, it's a continuous process. Okay? Now, why do we rely on historical research? Now before that, let me say you a small story. Okay? Now every research, most of the research can have experimental, we can conduct experiments. Like in the field of science, we have a lab method, okay, where we conduct experiments where I arrive at a conclusion and with my naked eyes I know these are the results, okay, because that we can do it anywhere, okay, but that is not possible in the field of historical research because again, as I said, his story, I'm talking about the past. And I was not present and I can't go back. Like I'm not a magician that I have a abracadabra, a wand and I go back into the past. It's not possible. So I have to completely rely on what the research. I have got some papers and they say, "Arey ye hua tha 10 saal pehle." I have to completely rely. I can't go back. Okay. So what we do here is basically I was not present in the historical time and space. So when that particular incident took place, I was not physically present and that particular period, obviously, I can't go back. So, and second is basically time and space. So the time and the period was completely different and that is why I have to completely rely on historical research. So I cannot have a research, I cannot have a research, the research in the field of science and history will be completely different, right now? Because history, I can't conduct experiments, right? I can't go back to the past and knock at the coffins of some of the people who have passed away and wake them up and say, come on, tell me the story. I can't do that. So what do? I have to completely rely on historical research. And why do we have to rely? It's the two reason is I was not present during that particular incident and the time and the space was completely different. The incident has taken place much before I came into this world and that is why we completely rely on historical research. Now we move ahead. What is this historical research method? Okay. In ancient, and this is basically the ancient historical research method. ठीक है? पुराने जमाने के तरीके हैं रिसर्च. कौन से फील्ड की बात कर रहे हैं? हिस्ट्री की बात कर रहे हैं. ठीक है? First is examining relevant references. Okay, it's in the form of books. It can be in the form of articles. Okay, I get the books, I go through the book and I start analyzing it. अच्छा ये ऐसा हुआ होगा. I analyze it. Okay. Second is collecting historical informations. So what do you mean by collecting historical informations? It can be like, a statue which you got, which was unearthed during the excavation time of the Harappan civilization. Okay, it can be like, you find statues, small statues, when the excavations were unearthed in the Harappan civilization. You found small statues of the male and the females, male having the hairstyle having a side parting, right? The statues of women having anklets in the hand. So I come to know, in the ancient time, the females used to wear anklets and the boys used to have side parting on their hair. How did I come to know? I got it from historical information. Third is understanding references regarding time and space. Okay, I start analyzing it. Okay, कौन से period में क्यों हुआ था, why it happened, and what was the atmosphere, what was the environment around. I understand, and then I arrive at the conclusion, yeah, this happened because of so and so reason. Next is basically formulating questions. So what you do here is basically you start formulating questions related to history, okay? Like why it happened, when, what happened, what was the reason, why it took place only in one place and not in some other place. That is called as formulating questions. After that is formulating hypothesis. Hypothesis in simple words can be defined as explanation of evidence. Okay, you have it, you arrive at an answer. That is basically termed as hypothesis. And last is basically critically examining of various sources. You get all the information, you use all this methods, and one thing is what? You go on and critically analyzing. अरे ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. This is not the way to be done. ये ऐसा किया जाता है. That is called as critically examining of various sources. So in the ancient period, these were the 6 historical research method used in the ancient period, and you could pick up any one method of your choice. So you can pick up the first one, you can pick up the second one, third, and it goes on. Now, a person who has a knowledge of history, only that person can understand the research, the historical research. So it's a common man like you and me who is not a scholar. It will be very difficult for us to understand the historical research method which was used in the ancient time by the people. Now, as time passed by, people had a misconception. People believed that history is always related to the dead people, and we have got only, very less area. But as time passed by, people realized that there are methods of various disciplines. That is, you have different arenas. Okay, various disciplines means what? Various arenas where you can work. First one is archaeology, prehistory through excavation site. What do you mean by excavation site? I call it as archaeology. Okay, excavation site means what? Unearthing the Harappan civilization. ठीक है, आप साइट्स को एक्सकैवेट करते हो, ठीक है, फिर आप क्या करते हो, उसको एनालाइज करते हो कि यार ऐसा था वैसा था. एग्जाम्पल आई कैन गिव यू Harappan civilization. When the Harappan sites were excavated, people were literally spellbounded. Okay, they say that when the excavated site was beautifully, the town was beautifully simple, was well planned town it was. The whole Harappan civilized city was divided into 2 halves. One completely for the township where the people used to reside, and others they had business establishments. Every house had a proper drainage facility. There were lighting facility outside on the roads. Okay, now you will say lighting facility? Yeah, absolutely. They had wooden poles inserted outside on the roads, and they had a small nail affixed on it, and they used to hang a lantern on it. So the concept of having a street light is not a new concept, right? In the ancient time, people used to do it, and that is a best example is the archaeology, that is through excavation sites. Okay. Second is archival science, that is the study of buildings. If you see the ancient buildings, made during the British era, You see these buildings, they are not very beautiful, but they are so sturdy buildings that they have got high roofs, right? The rooms are pretty cool. They have beautiful decor. Okay, they may build it in such a beautiful way, right? Not only that, they also have proper ventilation, so you don't even require, like most of our houses right now, 24/7 you require fan and electricity. But if you have seen the ancient buildings, you don't require this proper ample light and ventilation. Third is basically manuscriptology. Yeah, literature written by hand. Okay, handwritten literature. Ramayana, Mahabharata, these are manuscriptology. Means the scriptures which was completely written by hand. Third is basically epigraphy. Epigraphy means inscriptions. Okay, inscriptions means what? See, inscriptions can be on tadpatra, okay, written. It can be on a baked bricks. It can be something written on the copper plates. It can be on the Ashoka pillar. What are these? These are nothing but inscriptions. Next is analysis of lettering style. Okay, you have different types of lettering style. The way you write a particular letter, alphabet, or you use a particular you slanting line, sleeping line. This itself also is termed as analysis of lettering style. Next comes linguistics, that is language, phonetic and grammar. So the pronunciation of a particular word. Yeah, like example, the people who speaks Marathi in Pune, their Marathi is completely different, right? We snap. वो बंदा मराठी में बात करता है, हम पुणे से हो क्या? हम कितने जल्दी लैंग्वेज से पता लग जाता है कि वो बंदा कौन से पार्ट से आया है, राइट? उसको हम बोलते हैं लिंग्विस्टिक. द प्रोनाउंसिएशन, द ग्रामर एंड द लैंग्वेज, वी कॉल इट एज लिंग्विस्टिक्स. Numismatics, that is basically study of coins. Ancient time, if you see, the ancient time, every king used to mint their own coins. On one side of the coin, you used to have the picture of the king, and on the other side of the coin, you used to have the slogan, okay, it can be regarding agriculture, or it can be anything what that particular period symbolizes. Next is genealogy. Genealogy means what? It is basically lineage. That is my ancestors. ठीक है, मेरे पूर्वज क्या थे, तुम्हारी कुल देवी होती हैं, तुम्हारा गोत्र होता है. How do you describe all those things? It's nothing but your lineage which comes from your ancestors. And these are some of the methods of various disciplines. I repeat: archaeology, archival science, manuscriptology, epigraphy, analysis of lettering style, linguistic, numismatics and genealogy. Now we move ahead with the interesting part, that is to the topic. Let's get started. That is historiography. Now when I started it, I made it very clear what is this word historiography. His story in a graphical style is called as historiography. Now when you start telling somebody's story, okay, आप narrative style में बोल सकते हो, story के form में बोलते हो, या graphical style में बोलते हो, I call it as historiography. Now this method, what you do is you don't always give the good aspect. When you are reciting a story in a form of a narrative, you take the positive and the negative aspect of the person. So the definition which I put across is the historical research method, critically examining the historical sources. I examine it. Okay? ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं अपने दिमाग से लगाने वाली, नहीं, I examine it and then I write it in the form of a story. That's called as historiography. Again, historiography can be divided into three parts. His story in a graphical style is called as historiography. The historical research method, when I am narrating a particular person's story, I need to critically examine, I need to know everything about that particular person. अगर मुझे सामने वाले बंदे के बारे में कुछ नहीं मालूम, I cannot narrate a story. So that is why it is said that you need to critically examine the historical sources and write the historical narrative. Okay, the writing of historical narrative, okay, is known as historiography. Okay, the best example of historiography is basically in the ancient period cave paintings, okay, storytelling, singing songs and ballads. I'll give you an example. You know the pyramids which you see in Egypt, that is basically the resting place, okay, of the king. Okay, king ki death ho jati hai, that is basically the resting place of the king. So if you enter the pyramid, on the walls of the pyramid there are stories, okay, you have paintings, okay, so you don't require a guide to explain you the story. As you enter the pyramid, you see the paintings, and then you start putting things in. Oh, this was a place where the king was born, then he got married, then he fought so many battles. So everything is put across in the walls of the pyramid inside. So what is that? That is nothing historiography. So the best example of historiography in the ancient period is basically cave paintings, storytelling, singing songs and ballads. So the concept of historiography is not new. It was there in the ancient time. But as we started moving ahead, we started polishing it. ठीक है, हम इसको और ज़रा sophistication में लाया. ठीक है, हम इसको और ज़रा उसको we laid down certain rules and regulation, and that is what we call it as historiography in the West. Okay, now before it is difficult, before it was quite difficult, now it has become much more easier. Now, modern historiography, these are basically the 4 pillars of modern historiography. Simple word, I will call it as 4 main characteristics of modern historiography. यानी historiography, modern historiography का 4 pillar है, that is put across your board. Okay. First is scientific principles. Okay, the modern historiography, it's completely based on scientific principles. Scientific principles means what? Based on the question. If I don't get answers to my questions, it's not modern historiography. Simple word, I need to form the questions. Okay, relevant questions. It can't be vague. It cannot be out of the world. It should make sense. Okay. Second is anthropocentric, that is the deeds of the members. Here I'm going to talk about the members of ancient societies, people residing in a particular period, the people residing in a particular period. Okay, what, like, you know, the interrelation between the people की example. पुराने ज़माने में लोग भगवान को क्यों वर्शिप करते थे, या some thing which is related, which is carried from the right from the past to the present. Third, I must have reliable evidence, like people worship, people in the ancient period, people used to worship the forces of nature, right? They were ancient people, so they used to pray to river, they used to pray to the different forces of nature ki yaar, because they were completely dependent on agriculture. Agar zyada barsat hui to fasal kharab ho jayegi, right? Evidence show. Now you have modern radio, you have weather forecasting reports, which gives you a complete picture of the climatic condition prevailing. And fourth is basic, it's a mankind's journey. Right from the past, transition, right from the past to the present, how much you have covered, how long you have covered, that is termed as mankind's journey. So modern historiography, now you ask me how did the concept evolve? I will start with the story, let me finish with this. Modern historiography rests on 4 major characteristics or 4 major pillars. The first is basically termed as scientific principles, that is completely based on the formation of questions. The questions should not be something, bakwas, okay? It should be something relevant. Second is anthropocentric. Anthropocentric is basically the questions which are related to members of a particular period. So in a particular period, how did the people behave? Why did the people believe in a particular way of living? Why did they believe in a particular god or goddesses? Yeah. Third, you have to have reliable evidence. I can't speak on thin air, without having any idea. I need to have proof. I need to have reliable evidence. And last but not the least is the mankind's journey. The journey of man right from the past to his present and from the present to the future is mankind's journey. Now before we begin with the European scholars, you need to know a small story. We never had a branch of history prior. History was considered as as a department. We never had it prior. It was considered as a subject where you always deal with the dead people. So you never had a complete department of history. As time passed by in the 18th century, a remarkable people used to, in the 18th century, prior to that, people used to believe more in philosophy and science. They were more interested in spiritual ways of living. They were more interested in science rather than concentrating on history, right? Slowly, as time passed by, many European universities started showing a lot of interest in the field of history. They started coming up with different logical reasons, and that is how slowly the department of history came into existence. And the first university which came into existence was in Germany, Göttingen University. And later on, slowly, it became an independent department of history. So prior to that, you never had a department of history. You never had. It was completely, people had a belief that no, history is related to the past. So they should not venture into this particular arena. But the concept completely changed when Germany had founded the Göttingen University, which completely started working for history that is related to the past events, and that is how the independent department of history came into existence. Now, what are this? Before this, we need to understand modern scholars, notable modern scholars. There were many scholars who had given their own theory. Everybody has their own idea. Example, we go for a movie, right? We all watch a movie. And when we come out, what is it? You have a different version, I have a different version. आप स्टोरी किसी और तरीके से पोर्ट्रे करोगे, मैं भी किसी और तरीके से पोर्ट्रे करोगे. These are the different scholars who had their own view of understanding the historiography. Everybody had their own concept. Everybody had their own opinion. Everybody had their own viewpoint. And most of the scholars, they went a step ahead by writing a book. So the first scholar who played a very pivotal role is René Descartes. A very difficult name, but we'll get used to it. René Descartes. The year is 1596 to 1650. He was the first European scholar who played a very important role in the field of historiography. ये बंदे का theory ये था कि he will not arrive at a conclusion unless and until he verifies the reliability of historical documents. Reliability means what? He will ensure that they are real, that they are not fake. He will examine them, every bit of it. Critically, he will examine it, and then he will arrive at a conclusion. That was the way what he has followed. He wrote a book called as Discourse on the Method, and he had a slogan, never to accept anything for true till all grounds of doubts are excluded. So what does it mean? He meant to say that unless and until all your doubts are not clear, you are not supposed to accept anything. And this was basically said none other than by René Descartes. I'll repeat. René Descartes was one of the foremost scholars, the first scholar who made a jump into the field of historiography is none other than René Descartes. He insisted, for him theory theory was completely based on the reliability of historical documents. मतलब सामने आपने एक पेपर दे दिया, उसको बोल दिया कि this belong to the 17th century, he will not accept it. Okay, what will he do? He will critically examine them. Okay, he will critically go through it, every bit by bit, paper by paper, word by word. He will examine it. He'll examine it, and once he is satisfied, he will come at a conclusion. This person wrote a book. He wrote a book, and the book is basically termed as Discourse on the Method. Okay, a book written by him, and he also had a slogan that never to accept anything for true till all grounds of doubts are excluded. So he said, he had been very clear that you are not supposed to accept anything until your doubts are clear. So if you feel that yaar mera doubts clear nahi hua hai, then you go on searching for the answers, you start going through it, and once you feel that your heart is satisfied, ki nahi, your brain is satisfied, ki I have got answers, you stop there and then. So you're going to learn this like you're going to write it, the answer in the same way. You'll write the year, you'll write the theory the person has professed, and you'll write the book written by the person. Okay, I'll go with one more thing that is basically called as Voltaire. Okay, Voltaire, again year is 1694 to 1778. Okay, in some of the scholars you don't have the year, you have the century. It's completely your personal choice whether you would like to go for the century or would you like to go for the year. Okay, इस बंदे का जो थियोरी है वो रेनी डेस्करेट से बहुत अलग था. ठीक है, रेनी डेस्करेटिस ने क्या बोला कि भैया ओरिजिनल डॉक्यूमेंट एग्जामिन करो एंड कंक्लूजन पे आ जाओ. ठीक है, ये बंदा बोलता है कि नहीं, अगर मुझे इफ आई वांट टू क्रिटिकली एनालाइज अ पर्सन, ठीक है, मुझे एक बंदे को एनालाइज करना है तो मुझे उसकी सारी बैकग्राउंड होनी चाहिए कि उसका एनवायरनमेंट क्या था, उस बंदे की अपब्रिंगिंग कैसे थी, उसके साथ क्या हादसा हुआ कि he has become like this. That means, simple words, he said that if I want to know the truth, I need to know everything about the person's past, right from his birth, right when he was born till now. I have to know उसके साथ क्या क्या हुआ लाइफ में. Simple words, I will call it as chronology of historical events, social traditions, agriculture, trade. Simple words, every point will be taken into consideration. The trade, the agriculture, the social conditions, the historical events, everything I'll put it together, and that is basically the theory what Voltaire professed. So he was not considered only analyzing that person. He took all the aspect, उसकी social background, उस बंदे की upbringing, सब collective करेंगे, and then I will arrive at the truth. He felt that all aspects of human life is important. So I cannot take one aspect of his life कि एक लाइफ की उसकी जर्नी है, बंदा born हुआ है, from his born till the age of 40 years. I can't take one part of his life. I need to take the whole part of his life, right from the child was born, where he did his schooling, how was his background, what went wrong in his life, what was good, what was bad. I need to know everything, and unless I don't know anything, I don't have the full details of him, I cannot arrive at a conclusion. That was the theory that was professed by Voltaire. And he did not write any book, but he was considered as the founder of modern historiography. So, he was the first person who believed that historiography is not related to analyzing a particular document. It goes much beyond that, wherein you need to analyze the person's background, the tradition, the culture, the society, and you put all things together, and then you arrive at the ultimate truth. Till that time, you don't arrive at an ultimate truth. This was the theory that was professed by Voltaire. Okay kids, thank you so much. I'll meet you in the next video with the second part of the chapter. Till then, happy learning.